Welcome back to Burn the Ship. I'm your host, Carson Brown, and today we are with a reoccurring guest. Burn the Ship is a entrepreneur podcast where we talk to business owners like himself and help others go all in on their business. Without further ado, I'm going to allow him to introduce himself.
Hey, I'm Taylor. I'm the owner of Up and Away Junk Hauling. Thank you so much for having me back.
Absolutely.
I was on episode 33, and now you're in like 300 and something.
Yes, sir.
So, a lot of change from you guys and a lot of change from us, which I think we're going to talk about today.
Absolutely.
What Up and Away does, we haul junk. If somebody's got a garbage problem, we solve it.
There you go.
And that can be as simple as grandma's got a nasty old couch, and it can be as complicated as there's 50,000 square feet in a high-rise in Atlanta that needs to be turned over by next weekend. And we can do both of those things.
It's a little intimidating.
It's great.
Well, first off, thank you for coming. I know it was odd. I reached out on Facebook and got a phone call out of you. I know it's been a while since your last episode, and you've grown exponentially. Just give us your story from, we've heard your original story, but, kind of just put it all together and let us know how you got to this point.
Sure. So last time I was here, I was less than a year into doing this full time. Mm-hmm. The asterisk on that sentence is I've been hauling junk since 2014. Mm-hmm. I was 17 years old, I had a pickup truck, started hauling junk. It's a good way to make money. And so as I'm doing that for the longest time, getting through college, just making money, whatever, socking it away. The last time I was here, I had my first full-time employee. I had a couple of part-time guys, but I was still on the truck every day and, helping them run their jobs and then running my own jobs, trying to get through that 1.5 truck mark. Mm-hmm. Where we're at today, our team has grown a lot, both in size and in quality. So we run 2 to 3 trucks every day. We have 4 trucks. That way we have extras. But and then there's 11 of us on the team. And I'm not on the truck scheduled any day. I get out. I'll go solve problems. I'm the backup phone call if something goes sideways. But
absolutely.
We've done 900 plus jobs so far this year, and I've been on 35 of them. And so now my focus is on leading the team, creating the culture, solving the problems I can solve, getting barriers out of the way for my leaders, mm-hmm. and looking for new opportunities.
For you, when you started becoming that leadership role, was there a disconnect when you were so used to kind of being out in the field and going hard? Was it kind of hard to transition at first?
Oh man, yeah, it was super hard because I'm a control freak. Yeah. So I like everything done my way. There's a right and wrong way to do things. And the second part of that is the ability to let things go. The second part of it is I like hauling junk. Yeah, exactly. I like waking up every day, putting my boots on, starting the truck, and burning a tank of gas every day. Like, I like that. Yeah,
I feel like you're passionate about it, and when passion is fueling you, it's hard to let that go over time. And it also comes with a lot of trust. It's just like you said, you've built this line of guys that work for you now, and you work together, and you have to trust them to do the right thing and do it how you do it.
Right. And so that's been huge, is stepping away and being content in doing the things only I can do for the business, mm-hmm. or doing the things that are my best use for the rest of the team.
Absolutely.
My job is to serve the team, and sometimes the best way I can do that is hopping in the truck because somebody's sick or somebody's out of town. But the vast majority of the time, what that looks like is finding the next client, finding the next relationship, building a system that works, and then empowering the leaders in our company to lead.
Yeah.
And training them on what that looks like, coaching them and being somebody that can help them grow, not only as a leader at Up and Away, but grow as leaders in general and people in general.
Exactly. It all comes full circle. Mm-hmm. Everything kind of wraps together over time. Kind of wrapping back to that transition over the past 3 years, what is something you felt like you've been more successful at?
So over the last 3 years since we
last talked.
Yeah, since I was last on the podcast, I think one of the biggest things is allowing people to have responsibility for their day, for their time. A great example is We used to, the last time I was on the schedule, the guys would show up in the morning, and they would have 7 jobs ahead of them. All the jobs were already quoted. All of their dump stops were already planned for them. All they had to do is show up and run the play.
There you go.
Sounds good, not scalable.
Yeah.
Sounds good,
Yeah.
no leadership to be had there by anyone but me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was jumping up and down, not really, but, it's kind of jumping up and down of like, I'm the guy, I'm holding it all together. Now, I mean, my guys show up. They have their jobs. None of them are pre-quoted. They're going to go up there, quote the job, sell the job immediately, do the work immediately.
There you go.
I mean, they make decisions about their day. They make decisions on how to solve problems. There have been numerous times where one crew's getting done early, the other crew's working late because the job blew up, and the two of them will coordinate, and they'll all go knock out the last one together.
That's awesome.
And I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is everybody in, Mableton? They're like, oh, we're helping out crew 2. They got way behind.
And that's when you know you've built a great group or put together a great group simply in the fact that you have guys that are willing to be selfless and go help others when, in fact, you don't have to do that. That's not something, obviously, you have to do. But, they choose and decide to do that, and that's big.
Yeah. I cannot speak highly enough about my guys.
That's awesome.
And I mean, I tell them, I like to say I tell them all the time. You'd have to ask them if it translates, right? But
Yeah.
I tell them all the time, like, you guys are the secret sauce. Like, you can't haul junk any better than anybody else, right? Anybody can put a couch into a truck and take it somewhere. But creating the customer experience at a really high level, creating a team where people want to work, things like that's huge.
Absolutely.
Really huge. I mean, the vast majority of our guys have been with us a year or more at this point. I've got one guy who's been with me 3 years and another one who's about to be at 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, and that speaks levels too, because that relationship has grown to a point where these guys respect and trust you as well, and that's huge. You kind of answered the question, the follow-up question. I was going to ask you what's something that maybe you found harder to be successful at, or maybe you just weren't very successful at over time, and maybe now you've overcome that obstacle, but something that was harder for you over the earlier periods.
Releasing that control and trusting people to do their jobs, that they're pros, that they know what they're doing, and if they don't, trusting them to ask.
Yeah.
I still struggle with that.
Yeah.
I went on vacation a couple of weeks ago, and as soon as I got back, both my ops manager and my office manager, we do weekly meetings, and one of the things in our meetings are highlights of the last week. Both of their highlights was the fact that I stayed off my phone during vacation and just let them work. I'm like, what that tells me is they're owning this, they're owning the responsibility. It is a burden to them, of course, but that's not an undue burden. They're like, I signed up to carry this burden, and I'm carrying it, and you can leave me alone. And I'll be danged if I went from a Wednesday to a Thursday. Both of those weeks, they exceeded their sales goals company-wide, and they didn't need me at all to do it. So that's great. And that's not even a testament to me. That's a testament to their leadership and how they've grown as leaders, and that also trickles down to our team leaders. The team leaders are the guys who are on the truck. When they start the truck that day, that's their business, and they're responsible for that business to be profitable. And, of course, we coach them what that looks like. But those guys really care, man. I have one of my guys, he had a job get all sideways on him, and at 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he'd only done $900, which is low. And he said, give me whatever you can give me. I don't care how late it is. I got to come home with more money for the company. You can't teach that, man. No. That's just a good guy with a solid character.
Yeah.
We painted the end zone, and he said, by God, I'm going to get in it.
Exactly.
Like, okay, sweet.
And that just speaks levels to somebody's character. It's no longer about, like you said, teaching somebody. That's within them. That's not something that is coachable or teachable for sure. I mean, that speaks to like athletics and stuff like that with guys that really want it.
A lot of my guys are or were athletes.
Ex-athletes.
One of my guys right now.
That's why they want it different.
Yeah, one of my guys right now is captain of the high school basketball team. He's working on getting on a college team. If you watch him play, man, he's killer.
That's awesome.
He's always got the best attitude. He always, no problem. Nothing's ever too gross. I mean, it is too gross, but he won't let you know it.
Yeah, he's not going to tell you.
Yeah, they're just getting after it. They're good.
And that's awesome. And you just said he's captain of the bat. So are some of your guys younger?
Yeah, I mean, the youngest guy I've got right now is 17. Got a couple of 18, 19-year-olds. And then I and one other guy, we're the oldest guys on the team. We're 27.
Yeah.
Our office manager, Amanda's a little bit older than us.
Yeah, and I feel like that's hard nowadays to find young guys that are passionate about coming out and working hard, and that's awesome to find a group that you can put together. And now you've grown to a level where, man, I trust these guys to do what they got to do, and I know they're going to do it the right way, and they're going to take care of themselves, and that speaks levels to their character and as well as your character, because they've probably learned a lot of that from being around you and being with you. So testament to you for sure.
I appreciate that, man. One of the things that's really important to me is I understand that probably, almost nobody who's on my team wants to be in the junk business for forever.
Yeah.
And so with the understanding that they will do something else one day, I want this to be a time in their lives where they grew as people.
Yeah,
they can look back and say, wow, I really left there better than I showed up. And so whatever I can do to support that, I'm going to do. We do leadership development courses. We read books together. Anyone who's full-time on our staff has to be in the book club. It's part of it.
There you go.
But I pay them for their time. I buy them breakfast. I buy them the book.
Taken care of.
All they got to do is read and show up, and we talk about it. We do, monthly and bi-monthly one-on-ones with everybody, really trying to make sure that whatever opportunity is there for something in them to be the best it can be, that is fully nurtured and fertilized and given an opportunity to grow.
Yeah, man, you're better than your local football coaches, man. You're teaching kids how to be better men and just teaching people how to be good people. And like you said, that just goes a long way over time, because like you said, not everybody's going to probably stick around forever.
Right.
Might not be their lifetime career, but moving forward, they can put their best foot forward in whatever they do, choose for their next endeavor. We spoke earlier about the way you kind of got clients. What's been the most successful way for you, and who is your niche market of clients? Who are you usually looking for?
Yeah, so we do a ton of networking, whether that be closed groups like a Power Core or a BNI, whether that be associations like Ackworth Kennesaw Business Association. I serve on the board of Kennesaw Business.
There you go.
Whether that be the chamber or even we're involved in some trade groups. There's a group called BOMA, Building Owners and Managers Association of Georgia. We're involved with them. That is I have found is the best way to get clients. It's not the fastest way to get clients, but those clients and those relationships you develop, those sustain over the long period of time.
Absolutely.
And I'm not trying to keep the trucks busy tomorrow. I'm trying to build something that's going to grow for the next 5 to 10 years at least.
Absolutely.
And so that's a huge part of it.
Yeah, that's something I tell people often is a lot of times, I mean, you can go out and sell anybody. Yeah, it's going to take you a lot of conversations. But in reality, a relationship kind of sells itself, because when two people come together and they trust each other, they're always going to call you. When they know that you can take care of the service, that's who they're going to call. And that just does strides, because when you do a multitude of networking events and things of that nature, you're going to build a lot of relationships, and people trust you, and who trusts those people? Other people. And it just kind of keeps building and building and building. And I agree with you. I mean, that's a great way to get out there and sell your business for sure.
Yeah. A great example of that is we have a real estate agent we worked with that a guy who's in my Power Core team introduced me to her broker. Broker introduced me to her. She does a ton of estate and probate work.
Yeah.
So she introduces me to the probate attorney.
There you go.
I went and did 2 days ago, I estimated $10,000 worth of work for this probate attorney on 2 properties. The approval was given in 30 minutes and I booked it.
That's awesome.
Like, we didn't have to have a conversation about it. There wasn't a sales thing about it. She just said, hey, I need to know what I'm up against. I said, this is it. She said, great, we can do that. When can you start? I said, see you Saturday. And that was it. You know how hard it is to wring $10,000 out of Google Ads?
Yeah.
At a $500 average ticket?
Yeah.
It's a lot of freaking work.
Yeah, it is.
But it's also a lot of work to take the 2.5 years it took to really, truly develop this relationship to where we're a trusted partner. They can solve this problem for them and get these properties on the market and get it closed.
Exactly right. Like you said, with that connection, who are some good referral partners? Who really leads you in the right way a lot of times?
Yeah, so real estate agents are great. Real estate investors are great. Um,
And
they,
then that's because they're dealing with a lot of property and yeah.
yep. So like a lot of times, what we see with your your average agent is that's where somebody's parent has moved into assisted living or they've passed away. They need to clear the house out and sell it, um, or so, some other kind of regular moving situation. We come in and clean up for that. The home investors is where you're seeing dilapidated properties, hoarded properties. They're buying them at a killer deal.
Yeah.
They're having us clean them up, and then they'll put a little bit extra work in it and flip it. And they make money, we make money. Everybody wins.
Exactly.
I mean, I even know investors who they'll buy a home super cheap. They'll hire us to empty it out, and they won't do anything else. They'll just sell it to another investor, and they still make money.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They'll hold the house for less than 60 days.
And that's really great for you because, I mean, that market's always there.
Oh, yeah.
That market's always going.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be some type of opportunity there.
Yeah. And that's, we did one that was down in Griffin. So we drove down there. It was 4 or 5 loads. There's no way this guy spent more than 30 or 40 grand on this property. I mean, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
And he probably paid us $4 grand, I think, for our day down there cleaning it out. I wouldn't be surprised if he went ahead and put it up for 65.
Probably.
Wait. Like, at least it's not hoarded now.
Sense. Yeah.
Congratulations. Come look at all the rest of this disaster.
And then somebody else will get it, and they'll do whatever they want to do with it. And I mean, he made money, you made money, and then the next person will make money. It's
exactly.
Just a recurring cycle.
Yeah.
Well, looking forward, what is the next steps? What moving forward? What do you see in the future for yourself and for the company?
So a lot of the foundation laying I'm doing now, and we're doing as a company, is building the leadership team and the systems and structures in the business that will allow us to grow, into 2, 3, 4 times where we're at now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really thankful. I think we've got some of those leaders in place. And so over the next 3 years, right now we're running 2 to 3 trucks a day. We'd like to be running 5 or 6 trucks a day out of Kennesaw.
Yeah.
And starting another location elsewhere around the metro.
That was going to be my next question. Would you think about kind of moving and branching off into another location as well?
Yeah, we want to do probably 1 or 2 more locations around Atlanta.
Yeah.
We don't have any firm plans for anything beyond that yet. There are plenty of companies that jump into other cities and do that sort of thing. It's a possibility, but
it's better not to rush into things like that.
Yeah,
you got something. You got something going good. Stuff like that takes time.
Yeah.
And you think about it. You have to do everything you just did
again. I'm relatively conservative for a business owner. Like, I know a lot of business owners who they get an idea and they just immediately grab it and go run, and they're just off. I'm like, one of the things for me that's a personal core value that comes into my business is the consistency and reliability. Reliability is one of our company core values.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're running around chasing every shiny object, your guys are not going to be able to count on you.
And you shy away from it. Shy away from that value.
Yeah, and especially people who share that value, they're going to, I'm not sure I want to get on that boat.
Exactly.
This guy's got a little bit of a hair trigger, not for anger or something, but for new ideas and turning things around. So I take it really seriously that there's, 10, 11 people that their livelihoods and their families depend on what we do at Up and Away. And so I'm definitely not going to go be cavalier because I think, that underwater basket weaving is a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's understandable. Well, really outside of all that, man, and in hearing your story and your successes and learning a lot about it, we know you're human. Is there any other hobbies you enjoy?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a wife and 2 kids. So
there you go.
Most of the time that I'm not working, I'm crawling around on the floor playing with them or hanging out with my wife. So that's been an interesting balancing act because
I bet
for a long time, I mean, my wife is super independent. She's a rock star. So when I was really, we're still very much in the business growth phase. But when I had no money, had no team, and it was all me, she didn't care she would liked when I was home, but she did not need me home at 8:00 to hold her hand. She's good, you know. But 2-year-olds and 10-month-olds,
it's a little different at that point.
they don't understand that daddy's coming home tomorrow and so I won't see him today.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Yeah.
They got to see daddy every day or else they feel like he's not there, which totally valid, man. You're too. That's totally cool. So I have to adjust to that. And that's way more work on my wife. She's a stay-at-home mom. She takes care of them. And, yeah, I mean, it's way more work on her. So being able to be there to help take care of all those things at home, that's been a challenge, but it's pushed me to continue letting my team handle stuff.
Yeah, and like you were speaking on when it comes to trust, and do you feel like that kind of helped you steer away and kind of take that different role, knowing that you have these new priorities and these things in life? Was that kind of the push in the back, like, okay, you know what, I do need to take this step and go, because if I don't, it's just going to get harder.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not that smart. I just pay attention to people around me.
Yeah.
But I've seen plenty of people who they have to be the guy.
Yeah.
And it costs them.
Yeah,
some of them, it costs them their marriage or it costs them their relationship with their kids. I'm like, I could build a multi-million-dollar junk empire, and if I lose my wife and kids, it's not freaking worth it.
No.
So
I speak all the time when it comes to success. I feel like society kind of steered away from what true success is, and I feel like you have a good outlook on it, and understanding that there's certain priorities in life that outweigh any type of monetary value that you'll ever see. Marriage and kids is one of them. The love you find for your kids and your wife, it's different. And I'm not married yet, but
you working on it, or
I'm
putting him on the spot now.
I have a girlfriend,
okay,
and it's a very important relationship in my life.
Okay,
but
we'll leave it there.
But I've understood in life, and I've always valued things differently.
Yeah,
money is. Don't get me wrong, it's important. It's important to be comfortable in life, but I've never put it in a way of.
Yeah.
And I feel like as a business owner like yourself, people can shy away from it, and that's where you end up in a position where I have every successful thing in life, but why is there this feeling that something's going wrong, something's not right? And I feel like you have a great outlook on that.
Well, the way I see it is like everything that we have is a gift given to us by God to steward.
Yeah.
Right? If you ever read the Gospels, you'll see the parable of the talents. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. The parable of the talents, Jesus tells a story, and he says, Master went away on a long journey, and he gave one servant 10 pieces of gold, one servant 5 pieces of gold, and one servant 1 piece of gold. He goes away for a long time. He comes back, and he goes to the guy who he gave 10, and the guy says, hey, I have 10 more. I invested it. And he says, well done, good and faithful servant. The second one, he says, I gave you 5. What do you got? He gave 5 more. He said, well done, good and faithful servant. And the last guy says, you only gave me 1 piece of gold, and I know you're tough, and so I buried it and I hid it, and here's your 1 piece of gold. And he says, get away from me, you evil doer. And basically saying, like, all of this stuff that we are given and entrusted to is expected a return of. And that's not just our businesses. Like, my business is I'm expected to make a return. Now, it's my own business. I don't have shareholders to answer to, but it's expected to produce a return.
Yeah.
God holds me to the same standard for my kids. He expects, when he gave me these 2 children, that I'm going to turn them into people who love him, serve their community, and do good in the world.
Absolutely.
And if I don't do that, then I failed. And I failed much more than if I ran a year in the red.
Yeah. And I feel like after, hearing your story and seeing the type of person you are, man, I feel as if you're going to do great in those endeavors. I feel like your kids have a great role model to look after and to look up to. And I just a testimony of how good of a person you are. I mean, they're going to follow in good footsteps.
Man, and I'm just following the footsteps of a lot of other good people.
Absolutely,
so
man.
It's nothing special. If I can figure out the next right thing to do, then I'll do that. That's good. That's a good next step,
Well, when it comes to, I ask you about your hobbies, growing up as a kid or over time, maybe when you were struggling and maybe you had some questions to God and wondering what was going on, was there any time where you viewed yourself maybe doing something else or you saw yourself doing something else?
Oh, man. I'm a very entrepreneurial person, so I've got plenty of ideas of stuff I'd love to do. I actually, in high school, I was preparing to do an audition for the jazz program at Kennesaw State. I wanted to be a music teacher and a performer. So I play guitar and bass. And
That's awesome.
I mean, I was at band rehearsal last night for church. Like, I play a good bit. All of my friends I went to high school with do not recognize steel-toed boot Taylor. Like, it was all Vans and skinny jeans and deep V's back in 2013, right?
Yeah.
And so, I spent a lot of time doing that. But yeah, I mean, I've got tons of other business ideas and things like that. I think some of them are opportunities that could be integrated into Up and Away.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we'll see, we'll see about 2,000 clients this year. So I would be foolish to just assume that junk removal is the only thing that those people need.
Yeah.
But I'm very cautious to jump on something too soon because I want to use junk removal as the business, which is the template.
Yeah.
Because it's got a lot of things going for it. It's low average ticket. It's a high volume of jobs. And there's not a lot of supplies and know-how you have to do. Well, if I can start taking some of these systems and developing them where we're doing less jobs and a higher average ticket, that's going to be good for business. We're going to be able to provide a really high-quality service to people who need it. It will create more opportunities for the guys because if there's more money going around, that's a better opportunity for them.
Yeah, it
and
is.
so we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, and like you were speaking of earlier, you don't want to be too quick to pull the trigger on something. Right. I mean, you got something good going, and growth is important. And as you continue growing, maybe you can take the next step. But until then, I mean, you got it down pat. You've been successful, and you're still learning.
It doesn't have to be today.
No.
Yeah.
It's always just planning for the future and just living in today and not tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, just doing the next right thing, man.
Absolutely. Well, when it comes to your business, what are good ways to find you, or what are good ways to find your company and see your company?
Yeah, Facebook's great. Up and Away Junk on Facebook. Our website's great. And then, of course, you can follow me on LinkedIn. If you just search Taylor Chastain, you'll see a guy in a green shirt. This is what I look like 6 days a week. So when I go networking, I tell people I'm 6 foot tall and I'm wearing a bright green shirt. You can't miss me.
Absolutely.
Like, come find me. Let's talk. So those really are the best way to connect. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, man, I really enjoyed our conversation today. I enjoyed getting to know you. I think you're an awesome person. I think you're an awesome business owner, and I think you got plenty of success in your future. Whatever you plan to do, man, I'll keep up with it. And if you're really on the roads, look for an Up and Away sign.
Yeah, you'll find them.
And you'll see them, and I promise.
Yep.
Again, just thank you.
Hey, thank you, man. This was a blast. Thank you for taking time to meet with me and putting all this together. It's been awesome. I appreciate you.